I recognize next? I thought I was introducing you. I guess I'm starting. Gotcha. Sure. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We haven't heard enough from everybody, so we're going to go another 5 hours. I want to welcome you all. I'm going to make some brief opening comments and then yield to my friend who's been doing not much today, except doing this all day, and then to, as much as I like to go to President von der Leyen, who I like better than anybody here, but so we're going to begin now. Folks, good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for being here. You've done a tremendous job, by the way, for really. You've done a great job. And focusing on our efforts of the G-20. Do I have this on? Yes. The G-20 toward restoring and recovering together and recovering stronger. As we were saying outside, we were having a photograph taken. I'm convinced we're going to come out of this crisis we've been through in the pandemic and other things stronger than we went in. Every time we engage, we get better. And today we're focused on investing together and investing stronger than we have in the past. In June, I joined my fellow G7 leaders to officially launch the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, with the collective goal of mobilizing $600 billion in 5 years for quality, sustainability, and innovative infrastructure and investments in low and middle-income countries. As I've spoken with my Canadian friends, this is something that we have an obligation to do, it seems to me, to deal with those nations that are not the primary cause of many of our problems, but are now left with a great deal of difficulty. I want to emphasize the word investments. Investments that are driven by local needs, development with our partners, and delivering real results to improve the lives of all of our people. Through the partnership, we've already launched an array of new projects with countries across the G20 and beyond, collaborating in new ways on climate, energy security, and digital connectivity, health infrastructure, and gender equity and gender equality. And let me give you some examples of the work we've been doing. First, in climate and on energy security. As we accelerate our investment and speed transition to clean energy future to meet the climate crisis head-on, we have to make sure that they benefit people everywhere, not just in the larger countries. And that's why we're proud to partner with Indonesia and Japan under both our colleagues, an unflagging leadership from both of them, together with a broad coalition of countries to create the Just Energy Transition Partnership. Not just like soon, but to be just energy partnership. Also critical to this effort has been the work of the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, co-chaired by my friend and champion of global climate efforts, Mike Bloomberg. Together, we hope to we're mobilizing $20 billion to support Indonesia's efforts to reduce emissions and expand renewable energy, and support workers in the who are most affected by the transition away from coal, and that can be difficult. That $20 billion from partner governments and some of the world's leading financial institutions will accelerate an ambitious energy transition that has a global impact. We also plan to invest $798 million through the new Millennium Challenge Corporation with Indonesia, which will build a climate-resilient transportation and support Indonesia's development goals. And around the world, we're also investing in critical minerals, supply chains, and technology needed for clean energy transition. For example, in Honduras, the Export-Import Bank is financing one of the largest ever solar projects in the Americas. In Brazil, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation has invested $30 million in equity in TechMet Limited, mining and to mine nickel and cobalt, two of the minerals most needed to power electric vehicles and other clean energy technologies. Together, these investments are going to create jobs in the communities where this mining takes place, and they support and help curb climate change and global climate change. Next, we're investing in digital connectivity. As a matter of fact, when I was elected president, we invested in an infrastructure project at home because we found out, we focused on this, and we found out a significant portion of the people in my country, as wealthy as we've been, did not have access to the internet. So we came up with $1.2 billion in infrastructure to make sure every single community, rural communities and others. Well, that's the case all around the world. And so this digital connectivity, we're teaming up with a range of partners to ensure people have access to the internet, affordable access to the internet, and other technologies. These technologies are required to participate in today's economy. And for example, we're working together with Japan and Australia to upgrade networks in Papua New Guinea and across the Pacific, improving security, performance, and access to digital services. And through the United States Digital Investment Blended Finance Program, we're working with Kenya, partner C-Squared, to establish a nationwide fiber network in Liberia that's going to help connect 1 million Liberians to the web. And the next is health infrastructure. We've seen over the last few years strengthening health security must be a priority for all of us. We just went through a long discussion on that. That's why we're continuing to support vaccine manufacturing in Africa and Asia and investing $15 million to the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation in India's health infrastructure, and just a few examples. And finally, gender equity and gender equality. When we invest in equal opportunity for women, we can deliver greater prosperity for everyone, And so we're working with the G7 nations and the World Bank to launch the Invest in Child Care initiative to help families get children they need, get the child care they need, and help women get the opportunities they deserve to be able to be in the workforce. We're already starting to see returns. For example, the initiative has funded a project in Somalia, and that will help nearly 300,000 women across the country to build literacy and leadership skills. These are just some of the projects where our countries are stepping up to deliver impact investments. And we're at an inflection point. Investments we make today will have far-reaching impact on the world for generations to come. If we don't make them, they'll also have far-reaching impacts if we don't make these investments. And so creating real opportunity, greater equality, and more secure, healthy, and prosperous world is what we're all about. Moving forward, we have to continue to invest together and invest stronger. And we welcome all who share this vision to join this partnership. I want to thank you. Now I'd like to turn it over to a man we haven't heard from for the last few days. It's all yours, Chico.
Terima kasih Presiden Biden atas inisiatif penyelenggaraan side event Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, PGII. Indonesia selalu mendukung penguatan pembangunan infrastruktur di negara-negara berkembang. Krisis multidimensional yang tengah dihadapi dunia membawa tantangan tersendiri bagi pembangunan infrastruktur di negara berkembang, termasuk melalui penyusutan ruang fiskal. Ada beberapa hal yang perlu diperhatikan PGII dalam mendukung pembangunan infrastruktur di negara berkembang. Pertama, dukungan harus country driven, berdasarkan kebutuhan real negara tujuan. Konsultasi dan dialog dengan negara penerima harus menjadi pedoman utama. Pembangunan infrastruktur perlu memberdayakan masyarakat dan ekonomi setempat agar memiliki rasa kepemilikan yang tinggi, disertai dukungan bagi negara berkembang untuk membangun kapasitas dan kemampuan mandiri. Dengan demikian, negara berkembang dapat lebih tangguh menghadapi tantangan global di masa mendatang. Sebagai contoh, Indonesia tengah mendorong pemerataan pembangunan melalui pemindahan ibu kota ke Nusantara. Ini akan membuka peluang investasi sebesar 20,8 miliar dolar di berbagai sektor infrastruktur. Kedua, upaya kita harus didasarkan paradigma kolaborasi. Pelibatan lebih banyak pemangku kepentingan, termasuk sektor swasta, akan membawa manfaat nyata. Saya percaya inisiatif seperti PGII akan semakin bermanfaat jika melibatkan sebanyak-banyaknya negara di dunia. Ketiga, PGII harus menghasilkan dukungan pembangunan berkelanjutan, termasuk lewat pembangunan hijau dan transisi energi. Negara berkembang paling rentan terhadap tantangan pembangunan berkelanjutan dan perubahan iklim. Presidensi G-20 Indonesia telah mendorong kerjasama nyata di bidang sustainable infrastructure dan pendanaan pembangunan. Indonesia sendiri juga bersungguh-sungguh mengembangkan industri hijau termasuk ekosistem industri mobil listrik sebagaimana yang mulia saksikan langsung di KTT Bali ini. Yang mulia, Indonesia siap mendukung inisiatif PGII. Harapan saya PGII dapat memperkuat hasil yang telah dicapai di G20. Terima kasih.
President Biden, President Widodo. We have discussed throughout this day that we live in a truly volatile global economy with obviously changing climate. And on top, in addition, we see that Russia's war is rubbing salt in the wound of the economic recovery of COVID-19. So this mixture made us completely reevaluate our energy, our trade, and our security relationships. What is the situation for the European Union? We have decided to diversify completely away from the Russian fossil fuels. We have understood and learned our lesson that it was an unhealthy dependency, unsustainable, and we want reliable and forward-looking connections. And this is why we are launching the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, PGII. We are joining forces to give our partners a powerful and a positive offer. You have said, dear Joe, the world needs a positive investment boost. This is what it's all about. To help build the global infrastructure that we all need for sustainable growth. So invest in renewable energy, in transport corridors, in digital connections that people can trust. From the European side, the contribution is the so-called Global Gateway. It's our 300 billion euros investment program for abroad for the next 5 years, combined with the wish to harness the power and the knowledge of the private sector. And we're deeply convinced that this will be a game changer for two reasons. First of all, Global Gateway, or PGII, is not just investing massively in the state-of-the-art infrastructure, but is also investing in the local capacities of our partners. This is crucial. We want to strengthen our shared resilience. We have been discussing in the last session the vaccine manufacturing example. What is special about it? If we take the example from the European Union, there is a European-American company that is sharing its mRNA technology and training local professionals. So it's about skills. Then we have African and European financial institutions that are providing the investment. And we have our regulatory medicines agency that are sharing their know-how. No single actor in this combination could have done this alone, but together we're able really to deliver on the ground. And my second point is that the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment is working because it is demand-driven. We see an enormously rising demand for renewable energy, and this is a good example. As I said, Europe has decided to diversify completely away from the Russian fossil fuels, and we want to leapfrog to clean energy. We need this clean energy, not only to have it homegrown, but also to import it. Our partners in the global south have an abundance of clean energy potential and resources. So Europe could turn into the world's largest market for their energy exports. What is necessary is investment and infrastructure. And that's where we have to team up. So some examples: at COP27, we've signed hydrogen partnerships with Namibia, Egypt, and Kazakhstan. Or with Namibia, we're building transport corridors from the Indian Ocean to the Atlantic port of Walvis Bay. And there's much more to be done. I'm very happy that today we launch the Just Energy Transition Partnership with Indonesia, a big step forward. Team Europe will contribute over 1 billion euros. It is the roadmap for the country's low-carbon future, and we are investing in developing geothermal energy. Or we are engaged in talks with India for renewable hydrogen, with Chile for critical raw materials. Or we are launching a digital alliance in Latin America to build a fiber optic cables and satellite connectivity. Many of these examples show exactly the direction of travel and the shared interest that we do have. So we are ready to contribute. If we align our investment strategies and crowd in the private sector, that is crucial. I think we can maximize our joint impact. Let's bundle our forces and make a positive difference in investment globally. Now I have the pleasure to invite the heads of state to deliver their remarks, and I hand over the floor to Japan's Prime Minister Kishida. Fumio, you have the floor.
はい、ありがとうございます。まずこのイベントの開催を歓迎いたします。インフラは国の発展の基盤です。グローバルインフラ投資パートナーシップが進める質の高いインフラ投資は、インドネシアが掲げる G-20 のテーマ
Kami akan menjamu Yang Mulia dan Bapak Ibu di hamparan pantai Bali yang indah, yang menginspirasi gagasan-gagasan inovatif untuk produktivitas G20.
Therefore, Indonesia is launching a historic partnership with the leaders of the International Partnership Group of like-minded countries called by the United States and Japan through the Joint Energy Transition Partnership. This landmark partnership supports Indonesian ambitious climate target through the collaborative efforts and associated investment by our international partners, including the mobilizing of initial $20 billion of public and private financing in the next 5 years. Understanding our urgent agenda, we will expedite a reduction in our power sector emission, shifting our projected emission peak forward, hastening renewable energy development, and increasing the energy efficiency through our international partnership, including through knowledge transfer and sustained technology development. The just energy transition can also help create new green jobs and benefit communities and societal groups affected directly or indirectly. We must think of how energy transition impacts vulnerable communities and work together towards effective transition finance to support an affordable transition toward a net zero carbon future. We are also grateful for the continued support provided by our international organization partners, including Asian Development Bank, Climate Investment Fund, and the World Bank for Indonesia energy transition. Within 6 months, the government of Indonesia will lead the preparation of the Partnership Action Plan to produce a comprehensive investment plan. The plan shall operationalize the agreed joint targets in the joint statement with the concrete and collaborative action. Indonesia energy transition is a country-owned and a country-led, and will maximize the use of our country platform managed by PT SMI. Ladies and gentlemen, last year I promised to my oldest granddaughter, Faye, that I will make policy that benefit the next generation. She is the strongest reminder I have as our government builds partnership and collaboration that will help Indonesia build a greener economy and achieve a more sustainable development. The Just Energy Transition Partnership is a groundbreaking model of international cooperation that shows us by collectively mobilizing private and public sectors and efforts, and we can create more sustainable world for our grandchildren, our citizens, and the future generation for many years to come. Thank you. Please, John.
Thank you very much, Coordinating Minister Luhut. I want to recognize your leadership and your team's leadership. I'm here with Ibu Nani and Pak Rahmat, who have been fantastic collaborators in the development of this partnership over the last 9 months. And for those of you who have been paying attention to the last several hours, you will have just known, as Coordinating Minister Luhut just said, that the presidents of our country and Indonesia and the Prime Minister of Japan have just launched what is truly an historic climate investment partnership with the government of Indonesia called the Just Energy Transition Partnership. If you look at the investment values that are brought together under the terms of this partnership, it is arguably the single largest country-specific climate investment partnership ever. And we're thrilled to be a part of it and to have negotiated it and discussed it and collaborated in the development of this over the last 9 months very closely with the government of Indonesia. I think the combination of today's announcement by our heads of state and yesterday's announcement of the Energy Transition Mechanism country platform are a clear sign that the government of Indonesia truly is committed to an expedited energy transition driven by good economics, strong investment, and a prospect of a cleaner and more sustainable future. And the US and Japan are thrilled to be partnering with the government of Indonesia in that regard in launching this Just Energy Transition Partnership. Along with our co-leads, Japan and the broad international partners group, which consists of G7 countries plus Denmark and Norway, over the next 6 months, we will work with Indonesia to develop a comprehensive investment plan that seeks to peak power sector emissions over 7 years earlier than previously scheduled, doubles the rate of renewable energy deployment in the country, and supports Indonesia in the goal, as established in today's joint statement, of moving forward its target for being net zero in the power sector by a full 10 years, from 2060 to 2050. These are significant and meaningful aspirations and targets that have been set jointly by our leadership in the context of this joint statement, and that's the ambition that we're seeking to support. Collectively, the emissions reductions from those targets are equivalent to about 300 megatons between here and 2030, and over 2 gigatons between here and 2060 over current business as usual. And just to put those numbers in perspective, 300 megatons is the equivalent of taking half the US passenger cars off the road for 1 year, and 2 gigatons is equivalent to about 15% of global power sector emissions in any given year. So these are globally significant numbers that we are partnering with Indonesia to achieve and providing the finance to support that ambition. We have partnered with the World Bank, the Asian Development Bank, the Climate Investment Fund's Accelerated Coal Transition Program, and benefited from the work of so many, including the International Energy Agency, whose advice, counsel, and data and analysis really helped us arrive at the ambition set forth in this announcement. So with that, I'd just like to say, today is the, let's say, not the beginning of the end, but it's the end of the beginning. We begin the hard work of the implementation now, and the 6 months ahead will be the time where we really put our heads together and come up with a comprehensive investment plan that guides this investment over the 3 to 5 year investment window that Coordinating Minister Luhut referred to. So congratulations to Indonesia on this historic announcement today. Thank you.
Yeah, please, if you have any question, please.
Sebelum ini Pak, izin ada videonya.
Oh yeah, sorry, John Kerry is supposed to be here, but he couldn't make it because he's now in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, yeah.
I'm here at COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, but I want to congratulate everybody with respect to the Jet fee that is being announced today for the cooperation with Indonesia. And I thank President Jokowi for his extraordinary leadership, Minister Luhut and other ministers, all of whom have come together to create this platform. This is one of the most important agreements that has been reached in the entire year since Glasgow. It's going to have a profound impact on helping the people of Indonesia be able to move to a clean economy and set an example to the world. So congratulations to everybody involved in this. We just think this is terrific, and I look forward to being back in Indonesia to help implement and move forward. Thank you.
We will give you the video later. You ask.
Ya, kalau ada pertanyaan, please, if you have any question, please. Oh, another from the Prime Minister of Japan, yeah. Okay, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Grace. I'm from Bloomberg News. I have a few questions for Opung Luhut. First one is a bit technical, Pung. Following up this financing, is there any details on the coal-fired plants that will be retired by this funding, through this financing? And then for the funding distribution, how much is the portion of the debt and the grant? And is the interest rate low enough, beneficial enough for us? That's my first question. And the second is, what has been offered to coal players to assure that this phase out would not hurt their business, their bottom line? any assurance that the government has given to the coal businesses for this plan? And Indonesian is commonly known, Indonesian coal business is commonly known, closely related to elites and politics. And how did Indonesian government manage to convince the donors that the coal players will be able to deliver?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
thank
think
you.
there's still a lot of things to do for the next 6 months. We mentioned already about this, and detail, figure, etc. We have already a number, but to finalize this number, I think it takes some time before we can come up with this. But I think the very important one, John Morton and his team, and Rahmat, Ibu Nani with our team, already building the very good trust. So then we understand what we're going to do for the next 6 months. And when you ask about the number of how many gigawatt that we're going to make early retire, we have already maybe 5.2 we propose gigawatt. But how do we schedule this one? We like to make it also detailed things. And how many loans that we're going to have? Well, we also discussed about the issue. And what's also the interest of the loan, detail, I think can be discussed later on. And Rahmat maybe get some numbers about that. Or John, you can maybe add some this one. Please, John.
Sure, thank you. I'll be brief and respond to two of the questions. Thank you for those. With respect to the $20 billion headline figure, that's divided between public contributions of about $10 billion and private contributions of $10 billion as well. I will note that it is also, I think, historic to have a private sector commitment alongside a public sector commitment, and we really applaud and thank the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero and GFANZ for helping bring together a coalition of 7 global financial institutions who are prepared to invest in this transition and to support this ambitious agenda. With respect to the public finance, that includes a mixture of concessional finance, grants, loans, guarantees, and a whole range of public funds that come from a range of different public financial institutions across the 9 member IPG countries. And more details will be available about those over time as we develop the investment plan. And with respect to coal, I will just say that we have established a goal and a target in the joint statement, a very clear target of, and you'll see it on the public announcements, of 290 megatons of CO2 equivalent. And that, of course, is a number that we now will start driving toward and working collaboratively with our colleagues to achieve.
Whatever we're going to do, one thing that I make also on the criteria, we're not going to disturb our economic growth. This is, I think, very important things, so that we have to be careful also to do it. So we have to do it right. So it's not easy job, to be honest to all of you, because job creation and also about many things. So, but we look at the balance of this, we are pretty confident also because trust between us, I think, is already there, and John Morton and my team, they are working hand in hand, and my communication also with Pak John Kerry also going very well. So I don't know how many times we make a telephone call and maybe Zoom and meeting in order to come up with this situation today. So we are pretty confident that we can achieve this target. Like John Morton explained, the number of carbon emission that we can reduce by doing this, and etc. Yeah, siapa lagi?
Maybe one more, Pak, because we have to go. After. One more.
Yeah.
Selamat sore, Opung. Andi Pung dari Kata Data.
Ya.
Ada beberapa pertanyaan yang mau aku tanyakan. Pertama, tadi kan terkait pertemuan sesi pertama itu kalau dari jadwal jam makan siangnya agak sedikit telat ya Pak. Kalau kabar yang beredar karena setiap kepala negara itu ngambil waktunya 3 oke. Kalau gitu yang yang ini aja. Kalau gitu untuk yang pertama itu kan yang untuk GWK deh Pak, boleh nggak Pak? Pertanyaan soal GWK.
Nah, pertanyaan fokusin aja.
Yang
Fokus.
Jepti.
Fokus ya, Jepti, ya, please. Yeah.
Permisi Pak.
Ya, selamat sore, Opung. Saya ingin bertanya tentang untuk climate change, new energy transition. Nah, di sini apa yang Indonesia sepakati untuk mewujudkan energi transmission ini? Terus, apakah ada kesepakatan antara Indonesia dan negara-negara global lain, misalnya Tiongkok, untuk mewujudkan energi atau transformasi energi ini? Terus apakah ada proposal yang dibawakan atau proposal yang ditawarkan setelah G20 ini, apakah ada investasi dari Tiongkok ke Indonesia yang baru? Terima kasih.
Kalau ini tadi kesepakatan ini, tadi G20 itu anggotanya G7, plus dengan dua Denmark dengan Norway. Ya. Dan ini angka 20 billion dolar itu dari mereka. Saya kira ini satu hal yang luar biasa. Jadi yang pertama di dunia yang dalam size seperti ini besar. Tadi John Morton sudah jelaskan. Dengan China kebetulan belum ada kaitan dengan ini. Silakan yang lain. Ya.
Satu lagi please on topic.
Ya.
Thank you. Europe is going back to firewood.
Can you?
Europe is going back to firewood. That's a fact. It's not a speculation. And considering the geopolitical context and the pressure on the energy market and the impacts of these two on the inflation, do you think this arrangement will ever work? Can we have your views on this? How would this work?
Well, our responsibility, to be honest to you, Wahyudi, is to the next generation of Indonesia. That's, I think, very important. So we have to do it, gradually, but we have the timeline. And I think understanding between the US side and the team and Indonesian side really in the level of trust very high. So yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we understand sometimes emergency, like from Europe, they import also coal from us. We understand that from Germany and also from Poland, but this is temporary. But we are talking not only for the 5 years, but we are talking also long term from that. So we understand also that we have a lot of our coal fire, but you should also check to take to your consideration that we have 437 gigawatt of renewable energy potential. So if we can exploit this one, or we can build like geothermal, we have like 29,000 megawatt, and we can go with the hydropower, we go to the wind, we can go also tidal, we can go many area of renewable energy in Indonesia. So we're going to sign, for instance, with Dia from the Abu Dhabi, and geothermal project with the Pertamina, for instance. This is, I think, I don't know the size, I don't remember, but it's like maybe 2-3 gigawatt. Something like this we're going to explore, So when the G20 countries offer this one, we can, bring some projects like geothermal in Central Java, maybe in Sumatra, maybe in NTB, maybe in Sulawesi. So there are so many things that we can do. 437 gigawatt is not the small numbers, small size. I don't think that we have enough $20 billion for that. We still more room to go, but at least we begin with this $20 billion. Maybe you want to add
anything?
Just briefly to say, I would echo everything that Coordinating Minister Luhut said. Indonesia, if you look at a resource map of the world and you look at where a convergence of resources, including sun, solar, tidal, geothermal, converges, Indonesia is blessed with these resources. And in most countries around the world right now, in the vast majority of countries, renewables are cheaper.
Yeah.
And so our job is to help expedite that transition in a way that is consistent with this country's economic development, environmental, and industrialization goals. And I think we see a promising path forward here, which this partnership helps launch today.
To all Indonesian media, I'd like to add, we are very rich, very rich country in a way. Yeah, we're talking about the renewable energy, but in the same time also we have the second or third largest forestry globally. We have also mangrove, the largest mangrove on earth, and also the the peatland and some others. So you put this together, also the depleted reservoir. So you put it all together, this country is very, very rich. You just need to manage. So I like to tell our Indonesian people, hey, let's go work together. Trust to your leader that we can achieve this one. And we are very, very happy, grateful also the support of the US in this regard, because this is very important. Sometimes we need to do something, but we need finance and technology. And now we get the finance, we get the technology, we just have to structure and to schedule this one. And we have also the smart people in our country. They're not easy. Nobody can outsmart them, I promise you. And I think John Norton experienced that one. He deal with, one of the smartest people in this country, and this is also his fault, because he trained Indonesian people in the top university in US. Now they beg to become the counterpart. So this is Indonesia. Be proud to be Indonesia. This is a very important message from me as the oldest people in this room. Thank you.
Thank you.